Hey, hello there. This is Natural Fitness Lifestyle. So I've been receiving, throughout the past, I think few months, most likely more, I received questions regarding my condition or development or musculature of my abdominals. Now, abdominals in reality was the furthest thing from my interest in that because if you would have asked me if you would ask me back in 1998 or before, let's say in the early 90s, about developing abdominals or if I wanted abdominals back in 1991, I would have laughed and said abdominals. Bring me a Big Mac, bring me a cheesecake. That was my interest. Really, oh wow, I was obsessed with cheesecake. I would walk around. Of course, what I did back in those days, it was a menial job, menial labor. I was a messenger, walking messenger specifically. I walked around, I walked for miles and miles throughout the streets of New York. I went to all the big corporate buildings. I visited private residences. I went from borough to borough. But one thing that set me apart from the other messengers is that I was always carrying food in my hands. Well, it didn't have to be food. It could be cookies. It could be a little piece of cake. It could be chips, or it could be a big hamburger. Oh, those are my goodness. Could I call them fond memories? Should I call them fond memories? Because it's not something that I would even consider doing now. Eating a 1/3 pound of meat in a hamburger. I used to know all the discount spots to find burgers and Frank hot dogs in New York. There was this one place they sold 1/3 pound of hamburgers. So it was a big slab of hamburger like that. Put everything on it that you wanted. So I used to buy two of those and walk in the street like a mile, and they say 20 blocks, and I'll be eating that hamburger. That was me. That was what I was known for back in the early '90s. When I was me. This was William Nico. That was me. That was what distinguished William Nico back in the early '90s. A man who loved eating fast food and cakes and cookies, sweets, who would be eating practically all day long, and yet had to found a willpower to walk as much as 10 miles a day as a messenger. Now just picture that, being a 220 pound, 5'7" guy who was like 36 at the time, 36 years old. No, not 36, I was more like 30, 31. And I was practically shuffling my way through the streets of New York. So now just try to picture this. Just stop and picture this. You see a 220-pound guy, rotundous 220-pound guy. Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm talking about me, my history back in 1991 in the early 90s. I was this big, rotundous guy who wore a jacket and would typically have either a cake, some kind of snack, or even a 1/3 pound hamburger, which they used to sell at one of these fast food joints. I knew, Daniel, I'll tell you the truth. By the way, how you doing today? Thank you for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Hope you're having a good evening. Yes, thank you for dropping in. And oh, great to hear that. Great to hear that. Yeah, I was talking about. Oh, good, good. I had like some yogurt. I woke up this morning feeling like a little bit more energetic than oh, otherwise, but it wasn't really like physical energy. It was like mental state. Like I wanted to do something. Isn't it weird? Like sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, do I got to tie my shoes? This morning I woke up and I said, let me see. I've got like these ideas in my head. Like, what could I do? What could I do? I love feeling that way, Daniel. Like I love when I get up that way, you know. And I the first thing I ask myself is, what could I do? Instead of asking myself, what do I have to do? You know. Yeah. So like, you know, I get a lot of questions, Daniel. Like how do I train my abdominals? I developed the, you know, a lot of people remark. Some people remark on how deep my abdominals seem look in the videos. So back, back in the 90s, I used to love fast food places because I used to be a messenger and it was like really monotonous. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the compliment. I really appreciate it. It was being a messenger, you know, walking. I used to walk as much as 10 miles a day to the corporate buildings. I walked all over New York. I walked in, I've been to every nook and cranny of New York. I've been in squatter houses. I've been in dangerous places in New York. I've been in the Bronx in the nighttime. This is back in the 90s. I used to ride the trains all by myself, carrying boxes on my head. But one thing that everybody used to know me for is that I used to always be carrying around food. And I was big, fat. And I was, you know, that was my goal back then was to find the most delicious hamburger cheap, you know, because the messenger, you know, when I got my, you know, I look forward. So the end of the week was like, hooray, hooray. It was the best. Friday was the best day for me. And I look forward to getting that check because with the check, my goal was to spend most of it on fast food places and snacks and cakes. Because Friday was when the party started. It started usually at a fast food place. It could have been a sushi. Sometimes it was a sushi place. And I get the sushi. I get a big Coke or Sprite, and I sit down. And that was just this. The evening was young. The evening was getting started. Then I go out, and unfortunately, I'd like to have those, you know, the beverages. Oh, oh, I used to go to a place. They used to serve the sushi that it was so strong because I used to always order strong sushi that it used to make my nostrils burn. I was like a fire breathing dragon. It was really, that was the high, you know, I really loved to do that. But there was, but then was when I went into this burger place and I seen these it looked like a side of beef on the grill. And the guy used to throw it on a big bun. Sometimes I would request a hero sandwich with the big slab of beef. And I used to say, make it as messy as you can, throw on the gravy. I want it to look so messy. And there I was eating it. And then, yeah, you would have loved this place. The grease, oh, the grease splattered on you. You sat, because there were stools. There were no like chairs at the people ate at the counter, right? Not at the counter. They ate at it's like a luncheonette type of arrangement. And everybody had stools and you sit down and the grease practically splattered on you, the gravy. You could smell it. You could smell it from 2 blocks away. I used to love those places. And would you believe it, Daniel? When I finished there, no, that wasn't it. I went over to my favorite deli and I looked at what new snacks, what new cakes they made, and it was just one particular. It was a Turkish place. Yes, that's where I discovered the magic of baklava. Baklava. I still don't. If you ask me, I still don't know how they make it, or I just know that it was greasy, it was sweet, and it was thick. Oh yeah, baklava. Oh, I still don't know. I don't know the magic or what the secret behind how baklava tastes. The secret behind the ingredients, but it was thick. It sort of reminded me of like because it was chewy, sweet, but at the same time hot. Because I used to love thick bars, so kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a cross between a fig bar and a hot pie, lack of a better way of describing it. But I used to eat all the treats. It, my whole existence revolved on one thing: finding something more delicious to eat. And as my taste grew, so did my body. So I never had abdominals. I never had abdominals. But the abdominals on the front and the back is right. The way the body, see the way the body was made was is one of the most incredible things because the abdominals on the front and your back, even your back, which is part of your abdominals, is just as important as your abdominals, yet you can't see it visually. So no, so most people don't never think about their back. That's why many people hurt their back. They move wrong, they stand wrong, they sit wrong, and they never realize that their front, their back muscles and their front work together. A lot of people think you bend down, it's your back. You straighten up, it's your abs. They both happen at the same time. They're like a, they're like a, I think the best way to describe it is it's like a spring. So when you bend forward, the spring stretches, and then when you stand up, the spring recoils. And it has to be tight, this spring, in order to keep your posture. Anytime anything pulls you sideways, twisting forward, even down, even with something is pressing down on your shoulders, that spring, there is actually a spring. Your muscles inside your body, inside your abdominals and your back, are like a spring. That spring has to get tighter and tighter. But through exercise, through the right exercise, because there must be as many exercises on social media, exercises for abdominals, as there are curved as the paint on a pop artist, not a pop artist. The what do you call that? You call that those guys? Uh, it's it's not conventional art. It's not classical art, but it's art paints. Guys who paint will just put everything on on a canvas, and it doesn't have a conventional shape, but yet they call it art. See, you see in social media, you see all kinds of abdominal exercises, abstract art. Thank you very much. Yes, I don't know. I used to go as a messenger. I went It's one of the places I used to go to were galleries, painting galleries. So yeah, I forgot the abstract art. Yes. So on social media, it's like going into a artist gallery because you see so many different guys, so many different people, and they're demonstrating different exercises. But basically, it's very simple. It depends on how tight you can keep that spring while you're doing the exercise. So it's not sophisticated. It's really not sophisticated yet. When you film something, you want something to look beautiful. You want to make a big presentation. Yeah, I can relate to this. It's okay because when I've been on stage. Like, look at this mug on stage. I'm not going to cry. Okay, but I was on stage many times when I used to compete. Yeah, yeah. I know I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying that when you're on stage, when you have all the attention on you, you want to make a good presentation. That's what you see on most social media, people making great presentations, how to do this on your abdominals. Look at this exercise. I could jump up here. I could put the legs up here. I could fly in the air practically. But it's not really special. The key to getting the best abdominals is to make that spring of your core, your inner core, the abdominal muscles, to keep that spring as tight as you can on one. On two, it starts from the first repetition. The first repetition, the spring of your abdominal muscles must be tight. The second, same. You could be, I sometimes when I train my abdominals, thank you, I really appreciate it. When I do my abdominals, each repetition, I tighten the spring. I can I compare my abdominals to a spring, see? And it is like a spring because it has the abdominals and the core muscles have to hold your spine into place. It prevents the spine from twisting because do you know when you twist your spine, it's the most damaging thing. So when you twist your lower spine, so I tighten that spring on. If I have to do 100 repetitions, I keep my abdominals tight. If I have to do 1,000, I keep my abdominals tight. And another thing is I move in different directions. I just don't, move my up and down. I strongly believe the best abdominals are movements that simulate daily life movements, moving your torso while you're moving your legs simultaneously. Hey, anybody could do 1,000, I don't care, 2,000, 10,000 sit-ups, but they're only moving one part of the body in the same direction, forward and back. But that's not going to develop deep, strong abdominals because that's not the way you use the abdominals in daily life. If you're going to move forward and back, at the same time, move your legs sideways. Now talk to me. Do a sit-up and move that leg sideways. Now talk to me. Do a sit-up and try to do a pendulum movement with the abdominals. Now talk to me. Much different. But this is what I do, and this is what but I learned it because Daniel, I learned all these secrets from? Do you want to know? It was in the gym. It was in the gym, yeah. But it wasn't from a trainer. It wasn't from a physiologist. It wasn't from any sports therapist or sports medicine doctor. It was from the janitor. I learned the secrets of abdominal training from the janitor. You know why? Because he read. He read the science of core training. He read the science of the body, he read the science of how the core really worked. But Daniel, in the gym back then, I worked for New York Sports Club. They had a computer where you can look up all the training articles from all the top trainers, not just trainers, but training articles from scientific sources. So from, let's say, from one of the top sources was from, what is the name of that? American American Academy of Sports Medicine. That's one of the Mayo Clinic. Yes, the Mayo Clinic. They established a lot of studies on exercise. On exercise. So these articles were all inside you know, these inside the computer that was accessible to all the employees. So this janitor, on his breaks, it's he just had an interest in exercise. So he went and he was studying all these articles, and he actually knew. With time, he got more. He gathered and gathered, and had more information, learned more information than the actual trainers on the floor. I developed a friendship with this guy way before I became a trainer. I used to work out at the place, and I developed a friendship with him. And him and me used to talk all the time, and he encouraged me to become a trainer. And when I became a trainer, I too had access to all that information in the computer. So I used to take that information from the computer, and then I used to apply it in the gym. See, a lot of the trainers, they had that information, but they only applied what they needed to for a training program for one person or two. But if it didn't apply all this, they didn't use all the science. All they wanted was to take a bit of that science and use it with as many people as possible. So, I mean, let's say you have a little bit, let's say you have, it's like having a dollar, right? You could take that dollar bill, give it all to one person, right? So they can buy something, or you could use it. You could purchase something with a dollar bill, or you could take that dollar bill, split up to 100 pennies, and see what you can do with 100 pennies, right? Spread it out. So that's what these trainers did. They took their little, they say they read one sentence, and they took that same little bit of information, and they tried to use it with 20 people, because this way they can get as many clients as they can in 1 week or even one day, and make more money. Meanwhile, this janitor, he was just there all day. Janitor was there all day. He wasn't making money training people. So he was on his break, but he was really interested in learning as much as he can. So he got more value from that computer than the trainers did. And that's the way it works. Yeah, that's the way it works. The one thing that he taught me was how to stand keep your knees, balance yourself on a ball, standing on one of those. They call it physio ball or Swiss ball. Some of them they have different measurements, right? But he would stand on one, standing up without losing balance. And he said, "Oh, it's my core. It's my core, William." And considering that it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, how could this guy do that? I'm lucky if I can. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I walked in the gym like that. I showed up to work like that. Here's this guy, this janitor, standing on a bar, and there were no trainers doing that. And you know what? Everybody laughed at him. They said, "What is that? What does that prove? What does that do?" He said, "It's your core." But you know something? He had a solid core, solid abdominals. And he wasn't doing one sit-up, one crunch. In contrast to me, I was doing a lot of crunches, a lot of leg raises. Even when they see it, they didn't believe it because they didn't appreciate the value of it because they thought that core training was about leg raises and about sit-ups, how many sit-ups you can do. The sit-ups and the leg raises, you're moving, but they didn't admire something where you're not moving. You're just standing still. Totally different. One is stability and one is movement. I trained, so I put together what he taught me about the stability training with what I already had been practicing, which were leg raises, crunches. But I learned to do the crunches and leg raise incorporating in the same manner with the same breathing technique that he used in stability. The key to the stability is to breathe the same way to brace your inner core, which is all the muscles around your pelvis in conjunction with your abdominals. And that's what braces your pelvis and your spine from moving out of position against any external resistance in any different direction. So that's the difference. I learned how to breathe properly. Yes, that was the key. That was the key because, Daniel, I challenged myself because now, guy's name was Atman. Well, I'll say is Atman. I'm not gonna talk about the guy in past tense like he's not with us, because he was younger than me. So he went on to be a doorman. He's making a lot of money. So, he's a real ambitious fellow. So yeah, we would challenge each other in the stability exercises that he excelled in with mine, and we put it together, and we'd always do these workouts together, challenge each other. And this is how I started to improve. Of course, when I went to different gyms, I had to do it on my own, and not just, but I was able to because I continued training, and I took courses by National Academy of Sports Medicine. See, National Academy of Sports Medicine, Daniel, is they teach a program of stability and abdominal training integrated together that is used by athletes from all different sports. National Academy of Sports Medicine. So their program is about developing a foundation of stability and core strength along with strong external muscles that you can apply to any sport and at different levels, from a novice athlete to even a professional athlete. The National Academy of Sports Medicine. This is what I studied and I needed in order to be qualified to work with clients and make the big bucks, right? Unfortunately, this here, clients looked at this. They looked at my hair color. They looked at that I was an older guy, so I didn't get as many clients. But I did get respect a lot of places because, seeing is believing, like you said, Daniel. When they walked into the gym, I wasn't the guy with tons of clients and with the big bucks, but I was the guy who was doing the most challenging exercises, and I got the respect of people. So I didn't have to. I was the poor trainer with respect. Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes it's good to have the respect because, as a trainer, many trainers come and go, but the ones who are respected are the ones who are remembered. You know, trainers who are respected are the ones who remember. Like I remember my friend Madman, right? I respected him, so I remember him. Yeah. Daniel, I got to go downstairs and see. I got a few pets to walk. I'm going to make my green tea and I'm going to work out. put some videos today. Today's leg day. I never know what I'm going to do for leg day because my knees hurt. So I'm going to do some leg exercise. I'm going to videotape the ideas I come up with. Who can tell what would be my leg exercise today? Thank you very, very much for dropping in, Daniel. It's always a pleasure talking with you. And hope you have a great evening. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow I'm going to do another one. You know, at home, I can't take off my shirt at home when I'm doing my abdominals. But I'll find, hey, we'll find a way. You have a great evening. I'll see you. I'll see you soon.